Jenny Artichoke lived in a boat down by the sea with her baby, and she didn't know much about anything, but she was oh so nice to me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Saturday night, August 11th. And I'm certain that none of you recognize that line, but it's from a wonderful song called Jenny Artichoke, and what it has to do with Lucha Libre, absolutely nothing. Well, August is a month that starts with the letter A, which is apropos, because the last time we did an episode of LuchaWorld was in April. Another A month. Wow. Yes, when we interviewed Superboy.
It's all your fault, Kurt.
Yeah.
I place the blame on you.
That's rule number 1, ladies and gentlemen.
I actually suggested we do this show every 2 weeks.
Rule number 1. Everything is Vandal Drummond's fault.
That, and we can't figure out how to use the recorder half the time. So.
Yeah, I always hear the theme music from 2001 Space Odyssey in the background whenever we're playing with this. Not because of the Ric Flair thing going, but I remember that scene where all these troglodytes are, like, you know, beating away at bones or whatever.
And we also just figured out I'm just as bad on cell phones as you are.
Yeah, we had oh my God. Fredo and I had the most interesting experience 2 weeks ago to this day. We were at a hybrid roller derby wrestling show in Pomona at the Fairplex, and there was this amazing woman called the Oracle who sang the national anthem. A very sweet lady, but she was getting to know Fredo and I, or me and Fredo, I should say.
Yes, correct.
And she looked at us and just said very sincerely, not with any tone of sarcasm, "You guys are computer nerds, aren't you?" And we're sitting there saying, "Oh, great, we look like computer nerds, but we can't work our way past the keyboard."
Would she be disappointed with our conversation earlier?
Oh, she should see us trying to work this microphone.
I accidentally called your wife. But you gave me the wrong number then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, Fredo ding-dong ditched my Elena. He was trying to get my phone number down on his cell phone and was trying to figure out how to do it, but instead got the wrong number, which was Elena's, so he dialed up Elena and ding-dong ditched her when she answered.
Yep,
so
that's right. Actually, I didn't. She hung up on me.
This is a fascinating show so far.
So far.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you just talk about Lucha Libre. There's a lot of other wacky stuff that you're going to be talking about.
And so far, I don't think we've talked about Lucha Libre at all, and there is a lot to talk about.
Yeah, actually, there's 2 big stories that we actually held out. We were going to do the show like a week ago.
Yes.
But we decided to skip that week because...
Yes. So amongst the things that we'll be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about the debut of the new and improved Mistico. Wow, look at I do the first story and I can't even say his name right. He's Mistico. Okay, we're going to be talking about the new and improved Mistico.
Kurt says improved. I do not.
I say improved.
Kurt says he's improved.
He was once the great rookie luchador Dragon Lee. And we'll be talking about the recent Triplemania show. Gonna also bid a fond farewell to Red Bastien, who passed away.
Just today, right?
Just today, at age 81. And we'll also be talking a bit about the CMLL women. Okay, item number 1. The new Mistico, who made his debut, was it August 4th or 3rd?
August 3rd.
August 3rd.
In Arena, Mexico, in front of 12,000 fans.
And...
which is way more than they've been getting like really low crowds lately.
Which to me is a bit of a shocker. I
don't think he was there. Yes, he actually worked the 5th match.
I was going to say, shocker.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little slow tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I know what you're all thinking. Why should that be different from any other night? Ba-da-bum. Well, we both saw the handheld footage that a fan took of...
Yeah, and I think we both actually have seen him as Dragon Lee.
Yes.
So I think we knew a little more about him going in.
Yes.
Unless you didn't see it, you'd be like a little bit more... you'd be a little more intrigued by it. But I thought he was all right.
I thought he did fine. I know a lot of people are looking at the new Mistico as the whole concept is probably going to crash and burn, as
It
what
actually
most people
has. Sadly, we've taken so long to do a podcast that's crashed and burned.
What, they've already taken the mask off him?
He's lost his mask. No, he actually debuted his debut match aired today in Galavision. So
oh, very good.
That's
well, I guess I'm the eternal naive optimist. Maybe it comes from growing up in Southern California near a beach all the time. I actually really enjoyed him as Dragon Lee. I was a big Dragon Lee fan.
oh gee, come on.
Yeah, I know some people are going to hate that I'm saying that, but that's not to say that his inexperience, his greenness is pretty obvious.
Yeah,
but I do like him quite a bit.
I think and that's where you kind of start worrying about him because he's just 19 years old.
Yes.
So, and you could tell he's really green. Like his first match, he was really, as Mistico was really, there was certain spots where he was missing, like certain, like he was botching certain things.
Right.
But the stuff he does well, he does it really well. Yeah, he does it well enough.
That finishing dive outside of the ring, I thought was magnificent.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. I think fans, but I mean, it's a different climate now with the fans now in Arena Mexico. They just hate everything. So, and they, it's not just their fault. I mean, a lot of it is self-inflicted type of booking where they're just booking really weird.
I think we've touched on this before. I really enjoy CMLL, but that's despite their lame booking. I mean, I think an amateur could do a better booking job than they do. I mean, there's so many holes in it.
And that's what I kind of mentioned with Mistico. Like, he could be like the flashiest wrestler. He could have a great like fan base and everything, but they're gonna find a way to screw it up. That's the way their bookers have I think they've kind of like put this in our head where it's like we think it's going to be like they're going to fuck it up somehow.
Well, yeah, think of it.
Yeah.
Every September, we expect an anniversary card that's going to end in a cage match with the 100 wrestlers in there.
You don't even expect anything good.
Yeah.
You automatically expect there's going to be a cage match.
Yeah.
It's like, because you see all these feuds and you think, oh, maybe they're going to have 5. Somebody who isn't watching CMLL is going to think, maybe they're going to run 6 really good matches. Mm-hmm. No, they're going to put them all in one cage.
Exactly. The flagship show, the anniversary show, the show that used to be the show of shows.
Yeah.
I mean, you think back on Rayo de Jalisco versus Cien Caras back, was it 91 or 90?
Yeah.
I mean, that was what a typical anniversary show was, and now it's a throwaway show.
And they've done cage matches 3 of the last 4 years, or at least. I mean, I guess that's how bad it is now, where you don't even really follow it. Yes. Where it's like, they've had cage matches.
Which brings me to the question: is there any buzz on the upcoming anniversary show? What will
Yes, but I can't tell you because Dr. Lucha told me not to tell anybody.
Okay, then that.
Just kidding.
Damn! I wanted to know a secret off the air.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve will blurt it out on Figure 4 Daily, and I won't be able to reveal the real story. But I think I disagree with what Steve suggested. I still think it's going to be a cage match. I know he tried to talk me out of it, but I say it's a cage match.
We should play some bets on it.
Yeah, it's going to be a cage match. We should put. I was actually going to write a post where I was going to pick the top 5 matches for the anniversary show, and I thought, it's going to be a cage match. Why waste time writing all these other things? And they actually did the one match I was going to joke as a main event was going to be Marcela versus Tiffany.
Yes,
and they just did that a week ago. So it's like, obviously that's not worth it. As long as it's not Mistico in a cage match losing his mask, which wouldn't surprise me at this point.
That'd be a great show of faith, wouldn't it?
That'd be fun. Well, I mean, it sounds like they don't have a lot of faith in him, but
wow, it's just kind of baffling that they would take somebody so young. I mean, I want the gimmick to work because I feel bad for this guy who's so young being put in such a high pressure situation.
It's so weird because he did a lot of interviews leading up to the show and. Before going to other his first matches elsewhere, and he talked about. They asked him what he was like, what are his strengths and weaknesses, and he would talk about his strengths being he's athletic, a high flyer, and the weaknesses are like he's really young, inexperienced, and he's really thin. And I'm like, And I'm thinking about the inexperienced part, and I'm thinking, Mistico, the first one, he had already had like 3 years under his belt before he got the spot. And just in CMLL, he had like 3 or 4 years in there before actually getting the Mistico name. And this guy, 1 year, and he's all of a sudden already
talk about rushing somebody.
And then the way they're booking guys, it's not going to last. He's not going to be special. They're not making anybody seem special. Everybody's actually just evening out. It's never like... You don't see... How often do you see La Sombra on Galavision?
Not often.
Not often enough.
No, not often enough.
You get how often have we seen the women main event on Galavision? Far more often than we used to.
It seems like every time I turn on Galavision, and we know the joke here. I've been sporadic in my wrestling viewing, but I DVR CML frequently.
Yeah.
And whatever show I DVR, it seems like I turn it on, boom, there's a women's 6-man tag. And I like the women's...
Did you steal that from Conan? Did you steal the boom from Conan?
No, I didn't, actually.
You haven't heard his podcast yet, huh?
Oh, no. The only podcast I heard is the one where he and Court Bauer are interviewing Dave Meltzer, which I thought was an awesome podcast.
Okay. That was good.
Okay, then, wow. Well,
yeah, you're stealing the boom. Yeah, but it's always women, and it's really hard because they keep changing, like, who's going to work the main event. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep up with all these other shows. So, it's really hard just to, like, grasp onto certain wrestlers.
Yes.
As the main eventers when they're really not on TV that often.
And it's almost like... It seems like they don't put any thought on what's going to be on TV. It's like, let's just tape something, put it on TV, where... Well, you brought up Sombra, and as you know, Sombra is one of my faves in CMLL. Here's a guy with one of the most... what should be one of the most innocuous gimmicks. The Shadow... Very just...
Yeah, and he's just one of those guys.
But he looks great. But, he puts something into it where he works it really well. And this is somebody they should be showing off. And it's just like he's another guy in the background.
Yeah, well, see, you see Rush. Rush right now is a hot guy in the promotion. But then, like, La Sombra was this hot guy, last year? Where is he now? He's very rarely... He's in the trios matches. Yeah. And, you don't even see, like, the trio he used to have, like, challenging for belts. It's always just... Now we have Atlantis. Here's Ultimo Guerrero. Here's Rey Scorpion versus Black Warrior. Here's it's all these different guys, and it's like
hey, everybody, come see the CMLL show. It's like they're not really putting anybody up front.
It's very different to what AAA used to do. AAA was more of they would do that when they lost a lot of talent, but you kind of knew how it was booked. It was booked. Everybody had a storyline, and that's where CMLL falls apart, where they don't really have a storyline for every guy. You just kind of have to follow the matches.
Now,
so Mistico is going to end up having that same problem.
That's a shame. That's really a shame. Now, what's the buzz? Who has the strongest power on the booking team in CMLL? Or do we know? Is it?
I can't tell you. It's my friend. No, just kidding. It's probably. I think it's Ultimo Guerrero that has. But it's a booking team, so it's like it varies. I'm guessing.
Well, we'll talk about Red Bastien later. But one thing I'll never
Red Bastien has booking power. It's been revealed.
We are dealing with another world, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I remember years ago.
You could kind of tell who's got booking power. Let's see, Ultimo Guerrero main eventing. Yeah. Main evented. Who else is getting
I remember years ago, the first time I ever heard of booking by committee was when WCW. I don't even remember if they were officially WCW by the time, but I think it was like 89 or 90 when we were always going to Tijuana, and I remember being there with Pat Hood, and we were talking to Red Bastien, and just talking about the state of NWA/WCW, and Bastien just laughed and said, "Oh my God, what is this committee nonsense?" He says, "You'll get nowhere booking by committee. You have to have somebody in charge, somebody directing the show. You don't vote on it." And I think that holds true.
See, I think with CMLL, if I was somebody who could actually influence them into changing what they're doing, I would actually have like a booker for each TV show or something, and let the guy pick who he wants to use for that show or whatever. Because it makes no sense. Like 1 week you're watching La Sombra and Galavision, then all of a sudden you have to look for him on Fox Sports. You know what they really need is somebody who could actually like put every single one of their shows on their website, so you know the video.
Yes.
So you could actually watch it, and there's actually a rhyme to the insanity that they're booking, because it makes no sense.
Oh wow. Well, let's hope things might change up the road. I don't think we should get our hopes up. Obviously, this has been the CMLL story for some time now.
Let's just all join the group, the whole bandwagon of shitting on CMLL.
Well, like I said, I enjoy it despite their incompetent book.
See, I think one of the problems that they have is that they think because people are criticizing them, they think we hate them. But we criticize them because we care about it. We actually enjoy the shows. We want to improve it. I mean, last year they were having a bunch of great matches on TV, and this year they've really not had the same caliber of great matches.
Remember last year around this time when we were watching not just the Averno versus Mascara match, the mask versus mask, but we were watching that whole show, and that was like, okay, this is what they should be doing.
Yeah.
You know?
But see, that's very, very rarely do they. They'll have like some good shows. I mean, every promotion has a good show. They have so much talent; they're going to get one good show. But they always have like one good show, and then they have this one show where it just doesn't make sense. Their booking is like they don't really go beyond that. They'll have Ultimo Guerrero feuding with like Atlantis, and all of a sudden the next week Atlantis is like arguing with Mr. Niebla, or they'll have Mr. Niebla feuding with Volador Jr., which is like the feud now. Mr. Niebla and Volador Jr. is the new feud.
Maybe they'll start flagshipping the welterweight champion.
So then they'll
John Strongman.
And now they're going to do their tournament, their Universal tournament, which is I'm sure it's going to be very enjoyable to see everybody lose in under 5 minutes. I just enjoy that because I always enjoy when they bring in the Japanese guy, and then Dave Meltzer writes about how he doesn't get it. And it makes me laugh. It's like, Dave, you watch WWE and you survived Impact for all those years, and you still don't get it. There is no logic in wrestling.
There is no logic. It's become theater of the absurd.
Everybody just writes the most bullshitty stuff for the wrestling show, except for AAA. I kind of enjoy their show,
which I would like to get caught up on. And
you never will. Ever since you promised to start watching that show when Conan said to watch it, they canceled the show. It was all your fault.
I guess I put a curse in it.
You cursed the show.
I blessed my wealth and I blessed myself, but I put a curse on AAA, I do believe. Well, there is hope, because remember, I did, if we go over to Slam and Stan territory, I did watch an entire episode of Raw 2 weeks ago.
That is true.
And
who could forget that review of the entire Raw?
It was intense.
Lasted 90 minutes.
It was wonderful. It was the best review of a WWE Raw show ever.
And next time you'll review Triplemania when it airs.
I will, and it'll be even better than my review of Raw. That will be coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
If it's anything like the pictures that Black Terry Jr. took, it's going to be a good TV show.
Okay. Yes. So I will be, as soon as I can watch.
You could actually we could recap the show based on the pictures.
I like that idea.
Yeah, we should do that.
We're going to get very modern art on you people.
We could discuss Sexy Star's outfit and all that.
I think we should.
Getting back to Mistico, we should probably finish. After that show, he worked a couple of other shows, and they didn't draw as well. So
it was a curiosity thing.
Yeah, so apparently it's not as...
a shame. But it's not unexpected.
It's not unexpected, because right now CML is cold. It's not the hot promotion. AAA is the hot promotion right now. It's like when people ask you which one's the better promotion, and it's like you ask at a time where it's like CML is the hotter promotion, and then like they'll ask you 3 months later, and it's like, I thought you said CMLL was the hotter promotion. I go, 3 months ago it was the hotter promotion. Now it's AAA. Now it's AAA. I think CMLL was hot from like 97 to like wasn't hot, but was the better promotion from like 97 to like 2009. But since then, it's been AAA's been far better. Not hotter than CMLL hasn't. I don't mean that it's been hotter. More like they had better quality back then.
And we will return in just a minute, folks, and talk about Triplemania. And I think we have returned. Triplemania. That's what we're going to be talking about now. Of course,
it was good. Let's skip it.
Neither of us have seen it.
Well, it's going to air, like, I think in Mexico in the next 2 weeks. And probably the following week, and then the week after.
So we will actually.
Yeah, and I think then
next show.
Mass Republic said that they're going to release a DVD of it with English and Spanish commentary. But we don't know yet, because last time they changed their mind, so I wasn't sure.
Well, and
I'm sure they're probably
who's going to be doing the English commentary? It might, for somebody like
I'm
me,
guessing it's Conan, probably.
Well, that would be worth seeing then.
Conan. With him, like, doing boom.
Boom, bam!
Messiah, Dr. Wagner, boom.
Wigwam, bam.
Yeah,
No, if it's Conan, I'd like to hear it.
Conan and, who's, like, a really bad announcer? They gotta have, like, Rod Trongard. They should have a...
Is that... oh, well. Who was the guy who was on one of those pay-per-views a few years ago who compared Hijo de Santo and Blue Demon Jr. to Pepsi and Diet Pepsi, or Coke and Diet
Oh,
Pepsi?
geez, I haven't heard that. Who did that?
I don't know, but it was... Yeah, I was cringing as I listened to it.
It had to be one of those pay-per-views, no?
It was one...
No.
It was one of the pay-per-views, not an pay-per-view, but one of the ones that actually made it to the big screen TV.
Was this,
Yes, I think it was. I think it was, yes.
Oh, then we shouldn't talk about it.
Okay. Okay, pretend I didn't say that. But it's true. It was
I'm
hard,
keeping
it was
quiet.
hard to listen.
I'm keeping quiet. I don't want people to hear what I'm saying. Kurt is breaking kayfabe as we speak.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt is pretty much killing everything for
I'm
us.
killing the business.
Yes.
Yes, right here in Walnut Kills.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
destroying the business.
So Triplemania was last Sunday. 90% full house at the Arena Ciudad de Mexico City, the new building.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you didn't know that. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
No. They put Paraguayo Sr. in the Hall of Fame. AAA Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yep. He was there.
Somebody who should belong in any Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He had to have appeared one time in WWE. He was a WWF Light Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, he should be.
That was back in the early 80s,
Yeah.
when there was actually a WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, and I think he probably held it
You know who
more
could?
frequently
You know who
than
could be in
anybody else.
the Hall of Fame? Los Vipers. Weren't they in WWE like in 1999 or something like that? 2000,
Were they?
98, 97 or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might be right.
With Cibernetico and all those guys. Remember when they brought back Mil Mascaras and all those guys?
Oh, yes.
You skipped wrestling back then. I knew it.
No, you're talking...
Kurt skipped wrestling. We've just discovered Kurt skipped wrestling from
Not
the late 90s.
Late 90s was when I probably watched more
Nitro.
wrestling in my 30s than I did.
Probably lost because there was so much. Nitro.
There was so much. Nitro
It was entertaining too.
Yeah,
so.
Nitro was still good, and WWE was becoming interesting.
Yeah, remember when WWE brought in like Santo and all those guys?
Negro Casas.
Yeah,
And they would
the year
have
before that, they brought in the AAA guys, Cibernetico,
Okay.
Paraguayo, Hector Garza, Latin Lover, and they also brought in like the Vipers.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you never like Mosco. That was the first time they brought in Mosco and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do remember the Spanish TV show they had where, Negro Casas...
That's right,
Coyote Santa-
Toscano, Tarzan Boy was on there.
Yes,
He
yes.
could be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
And am I remembering right that they have almost mic'd audience cheers? Because
Yeah, I
the
think
audience
so.
didn't know who these people were, so they weren't popping for him.
Yeah, Santo would come out and nobody was...
Yeah.
They had that Latino music.
Yeah, they had their American fans, and they're probably saying, "Who's the guy in the silver mask?" And nobody was there to respond. Santo, Santo.
I just remember that
Okay,
show.
well,
That was a fun show, though. But
Let's get to the depth, the most important issue
Wow,
in Triplemania, and that is Sexy Star's new body.
they opened the match with that, like a tribute match for one of the last matches that Antonio Peña came up with was the Relevos de Locura, which is crazy rival, like, how do you... I don't know. Relevos. Yeah, no,
Wait, the way you're saying it in English, it sounds like a Japanese
Yeah,
English translation.
Relevos de Locura is the crazy teams or whatever.
Crazy jumping happy wrestler.
I can't remember how to say it. Well, where they team up the Exotico, the Mini, the woman, and the guy.
Yes.
They
One of my
open, and that
favorites.
actually people who are just into regular wrestling, that's basically the match that they thought was really the best one, which isn't a surprise because if you've ever seen those matches, those are really good matches.
Yes.
First of all, the if they have the right minis are always good.
Mm-hmm.
Fabi's in the match. Fabi Apache's in the match. She's always good. Sexy Star does her gimmick well.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean she was doubtful.
Is Pimpinella still looking strong?
Pimpinella was in it. Eureka was in it, and Eureka's a very underrated worker. Also, I always confuse him for Rosie Moreno, which is another bad thing. I don't know if that's good or bad for Eureka. But I love when Vampiro made his return. I think it was the show before this, or I think it was the show before Triplemania. And I wrote, Vampiro looks like he's an emo kid, like one of those overaged emo kids. And then Tim Evans, I think it was Tim Evans, tells me, he tweets me and he's like, yeah, he looks like Eureka's older brother or something like that. Like, oh, yes. He looks like the emo kids from South Park.
We should try to contact AAA and try to get them to use our local transgender wrestler Amanda.
They'd probably take her. She's not that bad. She's pretty good.
She is actually. She's pretty good. She's pretty ballsy too.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But no, she's a.
Yeah, and then the two guys in the match were Phoenix as the babyface and Dark Dragon as the Rudo, who are brothers, and they are really good.
Very good.
So it actually turned out to be a good match. But what we were talking about most during the non-recorded portion of the show.
That's right, during the break.
Was Sexy Star's body and how it's changed over the years. Over the months, over the weeks.
You showed me the photo of her, and today was the first I saw the new Sexy Star, and I just sat there going,
she really is sexy now.
She is. I actually love the way she looked before. I mean, me, I kind of like that voluptuous look, but she's she looks good now. I mean, she looked good then, but she looks like athletic now.
Yeah, athletic. I mean, I think now it's because she probably does want to give another shot at going to WWE.
Oh, jeez.
And
that's not a knock on her. It's just
more heartbreaking than anything.
It's heartbreaking because so many people want to get in there, and it's like almost so impossible.
Yeah, she's all right. I mean, she's not a bad wrestler.
Yeah.
Then they had the cage match where they had it was the Relevo Suicidas, suicide tag teams. But this year they had a concept where it was like each guy would team up with his former partner. So they had Teddy Hart teaming with Jack Evans.
Sweet.
Hart Foundation 2.0. Then they had Joe Leader teaming with Nicho as Psychosis. Then they had Chessman teaming with Juventud Guerrera, which I have no idea if they teamed. I think they might have teamed in the past. It's just one of those things where I just can't remember. And then they had Extreme Tiger teaming with Halloween, which was their old tag team from when they were Familia de Tijuana.
Okay.
A couple of years ago. And that was going to be the cage match. The winner was going to have to get his head shaved or remove his mask. So I think nobody realized it was a cage match until like a day before that, or I think the very day that they saw the cage was there.
Yes.
That's when they figured out it was going to be a cage match. This is where you kind of figure out where Lucha Libre is a little behind in telling you what's going on. And then the other thing we didn't realize was that there was going to be a singles match between the two guys. So the match wasn't going to end. It was going to, the finalists would end up wrestling each other later, which ended up being Leader versus Nicho, with Nicho beating Leader getting his head shaved, which was pretty interesting. I still don't get the fascination with Joe Leader and Nicho with Electroshock. Nicho, I understand.
I never got Electroshock. I mean, it's been a while since I watched.
Which I'm sure you'll enjoy by the Kurt Angle when we get to the Kurt Angle match.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, but the Joe Leader thing, I mean, I think that more or less what it is that he does hardcore wrestling, and that's what fans like.
Really?
And that's pretty much it.
Now, is that... Okay.
It's very popular in Mexico.
It is popular in Mexico?
Yes, it's huge.
Wow. I don't get it, but apples and oranges to each his own.
Oh, and Vampiro made his appearance on there to help. I think he helped Joe Leader. And
if history is any marker, then he
disappeared
really
again.
No, it's like he got over really well.
It probably did, and then he's going to disappear once again. But I think nowadays it's because he's got other things going on with his non-wrestling stuff. So I think more or less they could use him, and then when he leaves, they're perfectly fine with it. It works now better for them, where he does his appearance.
And
then he leaves.
Well, I can't remember a time where he hasn't been over in Mexico. Like when he always seems to
he's just over.
All he has to do is show up and he's over.
I hope I didn't say what I said. Did you record what I said about him? You did, huh?
You said only good things about him.
I didn't say anything bad. It's just him getting older. I mean, come on. I would have said that about
older.
I would have said that about a bunch of rock group bands.
Well, that's not
rock
even
members.
that's not even saying anything bad about.
You know what?
I mean,
it's kind of like when I don't think have you seen this documentary on punk rock guys? As they've gotten older, they have kids now.
I heard a review of it when it came out, and I actually really want to see it because I remember.
Yeah, it's really entertaining. And one of the guys is a big wrestling fan. He does the guy from Rancid. Mm-hmm. He does one of the podcasts of he does Goodwill Wrestling and this other podcast. And he kind of mentioned, you don't really think about it when you're a kid. That when you're older, you got all these tattoos all over your face and stuff like that. It's like, you don't really think about that stuff.
Every time, I mean, tattoos are so mainstream now, but, I know a lot of people where I work, people have tattoos all over the place, and they actually look really good on them.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking to myself, in 20 years, those tattoos are going to be faded, you're going to look a little more faded.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult and probably expensive if you want to keep them up.
It's not so much of me like making fun. It's just age. No, it happens to all of us.
Well, it's like
look at us. Look at me backpedaling.
No, it's true. No, I'm the biggest mark for Pirata Morgan.
Yeah.
Next to Nero Casas, he's my fave luchador.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. He can't work like he used to, but it doesn't matter. That guy's given so much that if they can pay him just to stand in the corner, pay him. He's awesome just standing there, and he's paid his dues, for God's sake.
I can only imagine if I ever meet all these wrestlers, how many of them would want to just punch me in the face. Although most of them would probably get along with me.
I think there's a lot of sheet writers or people on the internet who've said a lot.
Yeah, I'm not that bad.
No, there's people who just said outright crass stuff about wrestlers. I think you've just given me observations and criticisms.
I barely say bad things about people. Plus, I don't mind it. I could dish as well as handle the criticism
Absolutely.
too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, then right after that they had the Consejo versus Psycho Circus match, which was an 8-man tag, because you can't have a trios match, so they had an 8-man tag. They had La Parca teaming with the La Parca AAA one, teaming with Psycho Circus versus El Consejo, which was Tejano Jr. Toscano. Do you even know Consejo? You know Consejo,
yes.
Right?
I do know
and
that. I don't know much, but I do know
and
that.
And Cemental. They were teaming with Octagon. Octagon isn't with Consejo. Mm-hmm. So basically the only reason he teamed with them was get what was going to happen. Consejo was going to turn on Octagon. Mm-hmm. So they turned on him. La Parca saved them. So that's now but Octagon still hasn't gone with them.
Interesting. Was that effective? Did it work?
Well, I mean, it's basically, I think people forgot about it by about the fourth match.
So it didn't work.
The thing is, I think they want to get that, I think it's more of a build-up towards, they're trying to build up the Consejo versus Psycho Circus thing. Mm-hmm. They just needed this match to build that up. And I think Octagon and La Parca, I think I don't think they know, they're old. I mean, what else can, I thought La Parca was great as a heel. For this show, I really thought that instead of tagging La Parca and LA Park, 6-8 months ago? Mm-hmm. December, it's 9 months ago. They should have done it on this show. Versus Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett. That would have been a badass match.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah. First time ever teaming to defend AAA.
See, that would be really cool. Well, for one thing, La Parca and LA Park, it's almost like a Ric Flair thing, where you could turn them heel again, but it's almost like people love them.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just keep them Technicos?
Just have them team, do the thing on this. If they want to turn them heel later, they're not going to turn them anyways. It's going to be.
People love them.
Yeah.
People, especially LA Park. I mean,
yeah, LA Park's the guy that people love.
You could have him impale the other wrestlers, and people are still going to love LA Park.
And you know what I like about them is LA Park can carry a match.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
La Parca, he can't carry a match, but he can actually sell because he's hurt. Everything's hurt. Everything's basically broken on him. So it's like he sells his arm well. He does all that stuff. He's very good at that
works,
stuff.
It gets over.
It works, and he can always do that one dive tope.
I mean, no doubt LA Park is the genius.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll just have a brawl. It's gonna look great.
Yes.
So then they did that. Then they went to the hair versus hair match between Psychosis and Joe Leader, which I told you about, where Leader lost, and then they had a brawl afterwards because they're going to keep that thing going. And I think Psychosis is still going to wear his mask. After that, they had the losing Roldan gets his head shaved.
Oh, yes.
Joaquin versus Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
They, Joaquin's team was LA Park and Electroshock.
Mm-hmm.
And Dorian's tag team was Jeff Jarrett, and then a week earlier they announced that Kurt Angle was going to come in to be the tag team partner. And I think, did you hear about the finish? The finish was basically... I
heard there was a swerve, and I already forgot what it is.
Yes, Dorian lost, shook his dad's hand, hugged him, and then they all attacked him and shaved Joaquin's head.
Oh, wow.
So they basically turned, and they kept the feud going. Basically, they're just doing it to keep the feud going.
Yeah.
And Kurt Angle got pinned by Electroshock. That was the other one that was so funny.
Now, I want to see...
I want to know what Electroshock has on these people.
I was going to... That was my first question, and then the statement I have to follow up is I want to see that match only because Kurt Angle could probably carry a match for anybody.
Yeah.
If one person could make Electroshock look totally bitchin'.
Well, I mean, I think we have like Electroshock versus Negro Navarro. Mm-hmm. And then Navarro carried him to a passable match.
Wow.
I can't even remember if it was good.
But it's like you're saying, what is the secret behind Electroshock? Why the push? Does anybody know? Or is it just...
Well, I think it's also because of his loyalty and all that stuff, to
Man, loyalty has something...
Yeah, and I think there's also the Charlie Manson thing where maybe he needed money or something. I don't know. I have no idea. It's one of those things where you kind of just...
No, I think loyalty...
You know what it is? What it is? I think a lot of fans like him. Like, maybe it's like a Mexico thing where certain fans just like him. And
so he is really over with the fans then. That's explanation enough. If he's not hurting the other wrestlers...
And I think when you think about AAA, like over the last 15 years, there's really only a handful of guys. There's Cibernetico, Electroshock, and... Octagon and La Parca. Those are the guys. I'm gonna keep finding more guys. There's a handful of guys that you think of.
Yeah, I firmly believe if somebody is a tepid worker, isn't doing things that's hurting the other wrestler, I think isn't stiff. But if they're over the fans, or they're drawing people, yeah, push them. I think they thought we need somebody who represents AAA over the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. Here are our choices. Electroshock. When you think about it like this, think about it this way. Electroshock, Cibernetico, Octagon, or La Parca. Cibernetico in a long match won't really work. Octagon is really like he's not going to fit this. He's a heel right now. So yeah,
he was a heel or whatever. Right? And really it comes down to La Parca and Electroshock, and I think Electroshock was probably the guy.
And maybe it's not such a bad thing, Well, before we gotta
get to the main events. We still have 2 more matches.
Oh,
you're trying to.
Will Triplemania ever end? My God,
it lasted 4 hours.
Well, in fact, before we get to those,
sorry, we gotta get to the next 2, Kurt.
Yeah, before we get to these 2 matches, there's one.
You were gonna ask
question I'd like to ask.
Oh,
because as I vowed the other week to watch that episode of Raw. And that was quite a sacrifice I made. That was a sacrifice.
Yeah.
I should be given like a Purple Heart for that.
You probably should. You should probably. Wait till you start reviewing it on the Figure 4 Daily wrestling website. You're the new recapper.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll review the commercials.
Yeah.
The advertisements for Expedia.com or whatever.
Yeah.
No. As we know, AAA still not on. Old school television here, old school cable TV.
Yeah.
Where would somebody like me, who's not the most proficient internet user, find it on the internet?
YouTube,
you can find pretty up-to-date stuff.
Yeah, just look up the Cubs fans YouTube page.
Because as people can tell as I'm doing this podcast with you, that I have been watching very sporadically. I watched some CMLL. I have not watched any AAA in quite some time.
And this is one of the foremost experts in Lucha Libre we're talking about.
Exactly. My expertise
is old. It's old wrestling.
It's old. I am decrepit. I am half a century old.
The new stuff... You don't have time for it. You don't like using computers.
That's right. I just, there hasn't been any wrestler since the old days.
The thing is now there's so much more stuff available.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in the 80s, you were happy with one show. You were getting one show a week.
Well, one of the reasons I bring this up is for people listening is, as we said, this is the first podcast of LuchaWorld we have done since April, and we are going to be doing the podcast on a regular basis now.
Oh, really? This is news to me.
Fredo's a smartass. We talked about this on the phone a few days ago.
Yes.
Damn it.
And then, and then we might have
Fredo,
guests.
if you keep doing this, I'm going to have
we might have guests down the line too.
We might have guests down the line,
Yeah.
and if Fredo keeps being a smartass,
some of these guests might actually threaten to kill me during the podcast.
yeah, live here at Walnut Kill.
We've already,
Bring them here.
I think we've already insulted a couple. No, actually, we haven't. I don't think he'll be doing the podcast.
No, but that's one of the reasons I want to start catching up on some AAA. Plus, it sounds like it's really fun to watch right now.
The TV the last 2 years has been really good. Mm-hmm. I think the big shows last year were really like downers. But I think seeing Triplemania, the way it looked, just from the pictures, it looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing
And the matches,
show.
I mean, yeah, you're not going to be that excited to watch Mascareño 2000 Jr., but I mean, he wrestled Dr. Wagner, so it's got to be good.
That's cool. So so back on track here, the two main events you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, the first main event was the Messias versus Paraguayo Jr. for the AAA Mega title, their world title. Messias retained. Aguayo was bloodied. Mm-hmm. He actually got hit by a chair by Hector Garza, who is now out of the Perros Del Mal. This led to this funny post on the Cubs fans website. There's this guy who posts there who's a huge Hector Garza fan, who was really happy that he's going to turn babyface, and he's like, yes, now he's going to get to shave his beard off, and he could be clean shaven. And I go, so that's how we know that he's a babyface, because he's clean shaven. So
what's going to happen is there's going to be an unknown grandson of Martin Cardigan is going to show up in Mexico because Martin Cardigan specialized in beard versus beard matches.
You know what I want?
Won them.
You know what I want is Hector Garza to grow his a beard now, like a really long beard, so we can know he's a heel.
That would be cool. And the longer it gets, the more evil he becomes.
Yes. But see, like, that. I think he has to be a heel because I just dig the whole him being the innocent. You know, the little spot where he does the innocent.
You're right. And at the same time, I think he's another guy who is on the verge of being so cool you don't want to hate him.
Yeah, see, and that's the other thing. He could, when he was in CMLL, it was hard to boo him because he was a cool heel.
He's just too cool.
Yeah, he's just the guy that he's been around for such a long time. He's done so much where it's like, yeah, he was in Perros Del Mal, which is cool. Mm-hmm. He's got to be cool. And then, now he's going to be out. Oh, he's still cool and stuff. I think they're probably going to end up just putting him in El Consejo. Yes. Because they need a top guy in that group also.
That would actually make the Consejo connection just look a lot stronger than it is.
They could win a belt and he could drop it afterwards or something. I don't know. Yeah, and then the main event was a mask versus mask match for Triplemania. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Mascareño 2000 Jr., who was his second was his Mascareño 2000, not his father. Not his father. Oh, you know what's great? He dropped his mask when they revealed his name. He used a Reyes last name.
Really?
Yeah, so he kept the kayfabe thing.
I think what they should have done is when he took off the mask, Mascareño 2000 should have looked shocked and said, What? You're not my son? You're not my son? Wait a minute, I don't have a son that age. Why did I think you were my son?
No, he has more than 20 kids, remember. He's the father of more than 20.
Seriously?
Mascareño 2000. You never heard of
him? I never heard this.
You must have kept...
How they can't put this into an angle?
This is proof that Kurt has been watching all his CMLL from BobBarnett.com. Because I know Bob Barnett for a fact removes all of that Dinamita stuff from the mid-90s and all that stuff. So I'm guessing you never heard him mention Mascareño 2000 was el padre de más de 20. The father of more than 20. That was his...
No. I probably saw that, but the problem is my Spanish is still very poor.
Yeah, so he's probably got 20 more Mascareño 2000 Juniors.
Very cool. Well,
there should be more coming up. And they'll all lose to Dr. Wagner. They had a lot of... They had so many, so much interference in the match that Silver King turned on Dr. Wagner Jr. Shock.
Yeah.
He just turned he just turned technical 2 weeks ago. So
I'm having flashbacks of Jim Ross saying, "Oh my God, Kane turned on his own brother again."
Yeah, and then they had a Dr. Wagner Jr. son get involved. I believe he got involved at some point. They had a bunch of different stuff going on in the match. But I mean, it's basically, get what you're going to get, so.
Very cool. So that's Triplemania.
Yeah, Triplemania, which you can't you can't see on TV. You're gonna have to wait for it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe Master Republic will release it in November. That's what they've mentioned, that they might have it available for November.
And they will compare.
They're gonna add bonus footage. You will be able to see Kevin Kleinrock get knocked down.
Oh,
Apparently.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Actually, you won't see Kevin Kleinrock knocked down. You will see Kevin Kleinrock's the point of view of being knocked down.
Oh, that's great. Our buddy Kevin Kleinrock, we get to see him take a bump.
Yes,
God bless you, Kevin. Do we get to hear Silver King compared to Dr. Wagner Jr. as Pepsi or Coke?
I don't even remember where you heard this.
Oh man,
I don't remember. I don't think I've heard that. So
it was on a pay-per-view. I wish I didn't see. That's all I'm gonna say.
Was it that guy who works in SoCal?
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
I just remember him being a little overexcited about the matches, even though there was nothing really going on, and most of what he said had nothing to do with wrestling. But,
well, it's hard to find guys who know about the actual matches. So.
That's true. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So Triplemania went well. Zorro's back. He came back the following yesterday. He's back. They're still doing the same feuds. They usually do the same stuff for a little while, and then they get to something new.
When are they going to have another casket match where the casket gets thrown into a...
I still love that. I still think that's probably the greatest cibernetico
Me too.
thing ever.
Me too. 2006. I actually even remember the year it happened. I just loved
They have to do that again.
I would love it.
You know what they got to do? Like for Guerra de Titanes, to end like the whole Jeff Jarrett thing, they got to do that to Karen Angle.
Oh, that would
or Karen Jarrett. Karen Jarrett. Oh, that was another thing I thought. I thought maybe Kurt Angle would turn on Jeff Jarrett because he's Karen's ex-husband.
That's true.
I always thought maybe they'll turn on, but apparently they didn't. Because she's a bruja, you know.
Right.
I thought she's a bruja. She's a witch.
That's awesome.
I think that's awesome. But apparently she was really good in.
That's what I've been hearing.
in TNA.
I've been hearing rave reviews for everything she does.
Yeah, so it's like
she's a natural for the biz, you know. Okay, well that's Triplemania. We'll be back and we'll be talking, amongst other things, the women of CMLL. Wait a minute. I just sounded like I'm introducing a Playboy spread.
Yeah.
No.
The women of CMLL.
The women of CMLL.
You should say it with a creepy voice.
Okay.
Like, the women.
My voice isn't creepy enough already.
Actually, it probably is.
Nah, my voice isn't creepy. It's just plain dorky.
Yeah.
And we're going to remember Red Bastien, who passed away today at the age of 81. We shall return. And we have returned, and we want to address one of our listeners, Mr. Doug Sutton, who, when I was at the Surf Guitar 101 convention earlier, I mentioned how a band called The Exotics were kicking ass on all the other surf bands there. And he had an aside comment under my Facebook posting. And he was asking about some of the music, the bumper music we had for the last episode of Lucha World. And he is saying it's a Nancy Sinatra cover and was wanting to know the info on it.
Yeah, it's Sator, I think. It's a metal band.
Oh, very good.
Sator. I've never heard of them. I downloaded the... Oh, that's illegal, guys. An illegal download. Do not do what I just did. Where
No, you did...
I did this years ago when I didn't know anything better.
No. I saw you download it. You did it legally. You put a quarter into the computer. Yes, there was a slot.
Oh, well, it was like this. It was somebody posted on a music website that I'm a member of. Mm-hmm. And it was a cover songs and all the cover songs are like all these old songs done by metal bands, and one of them was Sator. And there's actually a one by Typo Negative. There's a bunch of good stuff, but it's like when I downloaded it and I put it into my iTunes, there was like 300 songs. So it's like, oh god! And like of the 300 songs, I only kept like 50 of them.
Your computer was suddenly flooded with metal covers.
Yes, and people wonder why I get the blue screen of death every once in a while.
Well, one of the things that I remember being surprised a few years ago that you...
All the porn on my computer. Not just kidding.
What's the type of porn that you have on your computer which surprised me?
It was classy. It was classy.
It was
porn.
classy. It was old school. It
Yes,
was Kay Parker.
It was very
Sika.
Yes, it was very classy.
Annie Sprinkle. No, what I remember what surprised me is every now and then we have a common interest that I'm always shocked in that we are both admirers of the duo of Nancy Sinatra and the late Lee Hazelwood.
Yeah. I heard... Actually, there was a comedian that recommended a song of theirs.
Some
Velvet Morning. And then, so I started searching and I ended up liking like the whole album. So then I downloaded the album.
Mm-hmm.
Legally.
He put $1 in
Legally.
his computer.
I actually paid $1.
He cranked the handle.
And yeah, I really enjoyed the album and stuff. So
they were really good.
They're really
there was
good.
Another song of theirs I like. What was it called?
I'll add it on the...
Oh, I can't remember the name of the song, but it's Strawberries, Cherries, and an Angel's Kiss in Spring.
You will never...
Summer Wine. Yeah. Summer Wine.
You will never hear me singing on this podcast.
And you shouldn't hear me singing on this podcast.
But Kurt doesn't mind singing on every single podcast.
It won't happen... Well, it will happen again, but not for a long time, so rest assured. So anyway, Doug Sutton, that is the answer to your question. And before we get into the CMLL women, I just want to mention that on August 26th in LA, there is going to be a Lucha Libre Reunion show of sorts. It'll be an old-timer show where a lot of the wrestlers from Los Angeles past, the veterans like Falcon de Oro and Al Murrieta are going to be gathering, and some of them are going to be wrestling on the show.
Gory Chavez going to be there?
Gory Chavez will be there, yes.
Oh, cool.
Who I have not seen in almost 20 years. It'll be great to see him again. Piloto Suicida, Superboy, and Capitan Oro. It's going to be held at
Mr. Pepto?
Mr. Pepto. We must put in a request. I will phone the office up and see if Mr. Pepto
is still around.
Remember, not Super Pepto.
You know who I want to know is going to be there, and we need to get a picture of him with the mask, is White Pork.
White Pork, okay.
We have to get a pic of White Pork. We went to so many shows at Arena Paraguay, and we never even thought about it. We never took
pictures. And of all the people whose picture should be up on Facebook and every webpage is White Pork, I swear to God, ladies and gentlemen, you will have...
If anybody has a picture of White Pork, send it to us.
Send it.
Yes. And not White Pork the food. We're talking about White Pork the wrestler.
The wrestler.
The luchador.
He looks like something you would see in a black and white surreal film from...
The mask actually is a pig.
A pig.
It's awesome.
It's creepy.
It is
awesome. It is disturbing. It is beautiful. So that'll be August 26th, and on the next edition of Lucha World, we will give you further info, time, cost, all that stuff, but it should be...
Cost? It's not free?
Yeah, well,
no, it actually is for
try to go in the back door if you want, but you'll have to...
You have to deal with like 40 or 50 angry luchadors.
That's right.
You know what we should do? We should actually run an indie show, copy what they did in Mexico. It's Amigo de Siempre. Forever Friends. And it was 50 wrestlers in the ring, like doing like a... But people couldn't figure out if it was 50 wrestlers or 50-year-olds. Oh. But I kind of mentioned... I said it's both. There's 50-year-olds and there's 50 wrestlers.
That's awesome. I like that.
That actually wouldn't be bad.
That might be cool.
We should actually start running lucha shows.
We should.
Yeah. With the money that we have.
The money that we have. And there's
because running wrestling is such a profitable business.
It's so easy. That's the best part. It's so easy.
Yes, we can deal with all these egos.
Yes.
I can only imagine us running a lucha show where it's like not even us, not even we would know when the show would be scheduled.
Totally. Well, I think the way to deal with
or us getting guys lost getting to the building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think the way to control the egos is before they enter the dressing room, they must be sedated.
Yeah.
They have to take a Xanax and have to be injected with some powerful hallucinatory medicine.
We'll play good cop, bad cop. You'll be like the good cop, and I'll just be like the really screaming.
That's right. I'll be the one.
I'll be the one like yelling and telling guys what's wrong with them, and
I'll be the one giving them hugs when they come to the building. You'll be the one shaking your finger.
Yeah, like you're late. You're late.
I like that.
You know, it'd be great if you had like a rules type of thing where like no mustache, no facial hair.
Like
no long hair.
like UPS.
Yeah, like some sort of thing like that. Oh, well, CMLL, we were going to talk about the women.
About the women, yes.
Well, basically, the reason we were going to talk about it is because last week, CMLL main evented with a women's hair match, which is kind of a rarity.
It's Marcela versus Tiffany,
Tiffany,
right?
yeah. And I think, a month ago or 2 months ago was the cage match, which was another main event match with all the women. It's like, how often, do you remember how often the women would main event a show?
It was rare, I believe.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did
that much.
No, they're always kind of like...
How many women's matches did we see in the 90s? I mean, in CMLL? Maybe one? Lady Apache versus Akira Hokuto?
Although it's interesting.
Right? Is that the only women's match? And the Morenos versus some Japanese tag team?
Because Akira Hokuto, I mean, she was so over in Mexico. I mean, they thought she was like the end-all of women's wrestling. I mean, she was very good.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, though, the project we've been working on when we've been looking through the old Lucha Libre mags and the old Boxy Luchas. I noticed when you look at the ones from the mid-1960s, there were quite a few hair versus hair women's matches.
Oh, really?
It seems like for some reason the 1960s they were used a lot.
Because I think that was like one of the, remember you saw Memphis Heat, right? The Memphis...
Yes.
How they were talking about how midgets and women were always like an attraction.
Yes,
I think that probably was what was going on in Mexico.
I remember the one that comes to mind right away is Chavela Romero.
Yeah, it's
all over the place.
Yeah, it's not like us nowadays where we're ingrained with the whole idea of women's wrestling being like the divas.
Yes,
or having their own promotion.
Very true.
Like Blow.
The up and coming.
The new
and coming. No
the new women's promotion, which I'm sure a lot of women in Mexico are probably going to try to get booked in.
I want to get booked in Blow.
Jessica Blake, who works for AAA, she's on Twitter and she writes, this new promotion in Blow. Does this mean if you lose a match you're a blow jobber? I started laughing.
I like that.
I don't know if I retweeted that.
I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. That should be used in one of their advertisements.
Yeah. There's so much negative. But I'm getting back to the Marcela Tiffany match. I mean, watching it on Terra.com, they are airing online. Every Sunday they're airing the full shows online on Terra.com. For those of you that are interested in watching it or haven't really been visiting the LuchaWorld Facebook page or following me on Twitter or visiting the website or doing any of that stuff and just listen to the podcast, they're airing it on Terra.com. I always remind people I include the video stream on there. But that's the good news. The bad news is sometimes it doesn't work. So it's like,
I remember you voicing your anger on Twitter, on Facebook last week.
Yeah, so it's like it's a fun thing to do, but like lately it's just not working.
The frustration.
Yeah, the frustration of just spending your time on your Sunday afternoon, depending on where you're at. If it's Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, some people are probably watching like Breaking Bad or something else at that time.
Highly recommended.
Or maybe you're watching some show like The Glades, or let's start lowering our level. Or maybe you're like me and you don't have AMC right now because Dish Network and them are feuding and totally shitting on each other. Which, by the way, what's the ad for that? I was going to show you the ad for that. I'll show it to you later. Anyway, they aired the hair match. They're airing the full show now. At first, they were only airing the first 3 matches of the show, but then they decided to air the full show. And unfortunately, some of the matches aren't really that good because you can't really expect it to be always that good. Yeah, and everybody's booked all over the place.
Well, they're booking every Sunday.
Yeah, they have Sunday in Mexico. They have in Mexico City. They have a show in Guadalajara. They have another show elsewhere. So it's like they're over, everybody's all over the place. So they had the main event was Marcela versus Tiffany. The match was you're watching it. Yeah, you're watching it live, and really you could tell Tiffany isn't that great. I mean, I'm sure there's people are going to listen to it and are going to say that she was really good, and everybody has an opinion. Marcela looked nervous. Really? She looked nervous. She's main eventing.
Well, I've seen Tiffany enough to say, I mean, I don't think she sucks, but definitely Marcela has to do the heavy work in this match, no doubt.
She's got her SEMA. I don't think you've seen SEMA, have you?
No.
Oh, yeah, you did see him in PWG.
Okay,
yeah, he sat next to us that one show. SEMA from Dragon Gate. she basically does his offense from like 1999 from 2000 or 1999.
For an old guy like me, I can appreciate
so you'd be like, oh, Seema,
yeah,
because you probably haven't seen Dragon Gate in a while,
not in a long time,
and a lot of us haven't because of the whole Japanese.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any even PWG in over 5 years. So
since that show we went to, probably.
Yes.
No, you saw him 3 years ago at Wrestle Reunion. Rob Van Dam. The whole fucking show.
Oh, that's right. That's right. No, you're right. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, but she looked nervous. At the end of it, it looked really sloppy.
Oh, that's too bad.
So they're re-airing it on Channel 52 and certain cable stations.
Oh, very cool.
So Cubs fan fortunately gets that show. So the Cubs fan will have that on his YouTube page if you want to watch it. If you don't
like to see it, still.
Basically, if you don't, and this Sunday, I recommend it. If you don't want to watch the full show, you don't have to. You can wait to watch it on YouTube. But the main event is La Sombra versus Averno.
No way.
Yes,
I do. See that.
And the third. If it airs the whole show, I'm hoping the whole show airs. But the lightning match is going to be Stuka Jr. versus Namahagwe.
Oh, no way.
Do you know? You've seen Namahagwe?
I have not, but I love Stuka Jr.
Yeah, the Japanese guy who's like got carpet on his head. It looks like great carpet on his head.
Oh, okay. There's reason for me to turn on the television.
He is awesome.
Okay,
He's this rookie guy. He's this rookie guy out of New Japan.
Stuka Jr., I think, is one of the most underutilized guys in CMLL.
Stuka Jr. makes a great third guy, like in a really cool trio.
Yeah.
He's a good mid-card guy. I mean, I think his role is like upper mid-card.
He's not somebody who's going to push the stars, but I really enjoy him.
Yeah. So Marcela, Tiffany, they were... But I mean...
the women in CMLL, despite the fact that it seems like every time I turn on Galavision, I always happen to turn on a 6-man or 6-woman tag match, and I think they show the women too frequently.
Yeah. See, I
do like...
You know that I said that one time, and somebody disagreed with me.
Really?
You're like the second person who said it, so I'm not the only one.
And I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think every one of them is a strong worker, but I do enjoy watching them. But it seems like every time I turn on the TV,
it's not this.
It's like they're not putting focus on a lot of the other wrestlers.
And you know that's the other thing. Like that's your weakest matchup. The women tend to be like the trios matches because depending on the combination they put in, it could be really bad.
Yeah,
because the combination basically, if it has Amapola,
yes,
Marcela,
Princesa Blanca,
Princesa Suhei, Sarah Stock as Dark Angel.
Yes, I mean if you put in a couple
Lady
of
Apache.
If you put in a couple of weak workers, but you have strong workers like
if you have
Blanca or Lady Apache, it looks good.
But if you have Estrellita, Tiffany, Luna Magica.
Exactly.
That's like
I gotta say I love Goya Kong, but if she's the one who has to carry the match, it's gonna be what it is.
So that's really the problem. And the funny thing, like watching a lot of lucha lately, there's a lot of good women now in Mexico. Like I don't remember there being that many good women in Mexico. You have the AAA girls with I mean, Sexy Star's not a great worker, but she does a great job with her gimmick.
Yes.
So she's all right. The Apache, and she's always in there with the Apache sisters, so it's going to be good.
Who are, when I think about it, Grand Apache, he's cool, but the Apache women are one of my favorite wrestling families, to be honest.
And then you have Lolita, who was trained by Grand Apache. You have they have a girl named Sexy Lady, who's really good too. Lou Dark Shaitan or something like that, and she's an independent. She's pretty good too. So there's actually a bunch of women more nowadays that, whereas in the past it was like the Apache sisters. Let's watch the Apache sisters and Amapola and Marcela.
Right.
There's a little bit more of a selection. Yeah. So.
Well, very good.
You're like, let's skip the women now.
Well, just something to touch base on.
We're talking about women's wrestling.
And as we watch more of it, actually, I would...
Well, the thing is that I think with CMLL, the whole bringing in the Japanese women, it's kind of added a little bit more variety. Yeah,
definitely. It's different than I remember when the Japanese women like Manami Toyota and Aja Kong in the early 90s came to Mexico. It's almost like it didn't fit. It's like the women in Mexico couldn't quite keep up.
Yeah, because you had Marta Villalobos in there.
And exactly. And it was a really obvious style clash. And where today, I think the quality of the women wrestlers is more consistent.
Yeah.
But actually, I do look forward to seeing more of them. I just don't want to be every damn Saturday when I turn on my TV.
Yeah.
But
then you also have to remember there's like 10 CMLL shows.
Yeah.
So that one show you're watching might have the women, but there's like 10 other ones, 9 other ones that don't have it.
No, to see all the wrestlers in CMLL and all the TV shows, you have to have it down to an art.
It's like that's why I keep telling you they should actually have links to it on their website.
They should. They really should. And they should have somebody.
But I mean, poor guy is gonna waste his time doing all that stuff.
They need to hire a really good TV producer to really just manage the shows.
Link everything.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
It's chaos. I tell you, it's anarchy.
It's chaos.
Yes.
Not the wrestler. Chaos.
Exactly. I was really sad when I heard a while back about the luchador Supremo passing away, because I so much wanted to have the Mexican Supremo and the Mexican Chaos wrestle Joey Chaos and Supreme. That would have been my dream indie match to promote here in Southern California. So
that would have been great.
Yeah. Speaking of passing away, as we mentioned twice on the show earlier, that Red Bastien passed away, and if you're people who have been following wrestling for years and years,
if you're like a kid, you're probably like, who?
Yeah, exactly. Or some people, I'm sure, saying, what does Red Bastien have to do with Lucha Libre? And
if you're asking yourself that, you haven't heard the Slam and Stand where we talked about the Win promotion.
The Win promotion.
Yeah.
Win was a short-lived wrestling promotion, but something that's remembered very fondly. One, it did have TV for a while.
For about a year.
For about a good year.
Yeah.
It was promoted in Southern California and for a while in Texas. I think.
Yes, San Antonio, I think.
Yeah, they did some TV tapings there.
Yeah, that's where they had the other El Tejano. You never saw that? There was a Tejano in Texas that worked Southwest also.
Oh, okay.
They had the other Tejano. I just remember Tejano's on the show, and it's like, what the fuck is this guy?
That's not Tejano.
That's not Tejano.
Funny.
This guy is like, what? This guy has no muscles. He doesn't have like a broad chest or anything. Because it was like one of regular bodies, like thinner arms and stuff, and it's like, that's not Tejano. Come on.
And I bet.
Because I was excited because I thought maybe they're going to bring in the Death Missionaries.
Yeah.
Death Missionaries at that time were like the hot thing, and like in Texas, I mean, I remember
awesome.
wanting to watch them in El Paso and stuff like that. Like, oh man, this is like that was like the Road Warriors for me. Like,
well, I remember vividly when Win first came about in 1989 because I was in touch frequently with Billy Anderson, who
wrestled as the mercenaries,
and he was very close to Red Bastien. Even though he had been wrestling quite a few years, Red was sort of a mentor to Billy Anderson. And when Red started the Win promotion, I remember Billy just saying, "Hey, Red Bastien's starting a lucha promotion," and I was like, "Wow!" Like,
you thought Red Bastien?
Yeah, Red Bastien.
He was a star in the 50s and 60s, wasn't he?
The 60s and 70s. He started out, he wrestled with a guy named Lou Klein. They were a tag team. And but he really came into his own as Red Bastien, I think in AWA. I know Northern California, he was a pretty big deal. I read a lot about him in the magazines when I was a kid, and one, I thought he was the coolest looking guy with that handlebar mustache, and just the photos of him, he looked like really charismatic. But one of the things he was really famous for was he was a smaller wrestler who really got over well, and while I never got to see him in his heyday, apparently he did a lot of really cool flying moves that American wrestlers in general didn't do. In fact, on the Wrestling Observer website today, Meltzer said that he did a version of a flying head scissors that has never been duplicated.
Wow.
And
it's kind of funny when you watch old wrestling, you see how many moves guys nowadays don't do.
And I think it's
amazing.
Get over
like with Lucha, you see a bunch of stuff that nobody uses. They go with the back cracker, front cracker.
Yes.
Jericho's spot.
Yes.
And stuff like that, or like the Hurricanrana. It's like the basic stuff that they don't do anything different. Like everybody does almost the same thing.
It's true. Yeah. And I think that variety, especially some of those old school moves that they say are outdated, I think would really get over.
Like the biting of the foot.
Totally. That would get over more than anything.
Well, Blue Panther does that. So
I love it.
I think Casas does that. All the older guys do.
And remember how I was doing that as a tribute to Cavernario Galindo, who was, best to my knowledge, was the first in Mexico to do it. I didn't realize Bull Curry also did it.
Oh, wow, really?
When I posted the photo that Andy Durazo took of me biting Hellkid's foot, Tom Hankins posted, "Oh my God, the Bull Curry move!" So,
oh wow,
I guess that was a pretty classic
well, it's like
move.
You were doing the spit spot with Crayz.
Yes.
I should mention this. Kurt wrestled as Vandal Drummond on MPW.
Yes.
He's part of the Architects of Anarchy, and he spits in. You spit in the air, or
no.
Crayz
spits in the air.
Crayz spits in the air, and Kurt catches it.
In my mouth.
And I thought it was a peste... Yes, he catches it in his mouth, which was very disgusting. And I thought it was a tribute to, like, La Peste Negra. But apparently Kurt saw it from...
I never actually saw it myself, but my dear friend Ed Moretti, he used to do the Crayz spot.
Moondog Moretti.
Yeah, Moondog Moretti used to do the Crayz spot where he'd spit in the air and...
Catch it.
Ugh. And he was teaming with a guy named Terry Adonis, who was a journeyman back in the 70s and 80s, and... He said that was our gross out spot. I'd spit and Terry Adonis would catch it. So I did that as a tribute to my dear friend Moondog Moretti.
But now you need is a midget dressed as a parrot to follow you guys.
That's right.
Which would be awesome with Crayz, with you guys. It actually would work with
and
you guys.
Crayz would love it. Crayz would be into it too. I could see
God.
it. He would love
Kurt, we do know a midget. We'll have to discuss it afterwards.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
We might actually be able to do this.
So
dress him as a parrot. Have you guys come out to like some cumbia music? Or
that would be awesome.
Do your dance and everything.
Come out to Rafaga or something like that. So that was a tribute.
Yeah. Getting back to Red Bastien.
So Red Bastien, he was considered a pretty innovative wrestler on the American end, and he was quite a proponent of Lucha Libre, which I assume was why he thought of the Win promotion.
Which I assume pretty much meant why he wasn't with NWA or WWF or
probably
as
not.
a manager and in an office role. Or
I know
something.
He was a road agent for a while. In fact,
he probably kept suggesting, "Why don't you guys use some of these Mexicans and do some high flying?" Red, we're not going to do any of that jumping bean.
They're
Mexican.
not. Yeah, those jumping. They're like
we need Dan Farron.
Jumping beans.
We need to insert Dan Farron into this.
It's funny because every now and then I'll hear an American wrestler talk about how those Mexicans jump all over the place. Hey, they try it with me. I just shoot on them. And
nowadays, you still hear that? Wow. Well, you do.
No, I hear it from older wrestlers, but I don't buy it because as I think we know. The old urban myth is that the Mexicans don't know how to shoot.
Yeah.
I think if you know them, they
actually
true.
do know.
I've heard people claim that they've backed down Mil Mascaras by shooting on him, and I've known people who don't like Mil Mascaras and will say, nah, Mil Mascaras is not a pussy. He can drive you crazy with his ego, but he will fight back if you...
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like...
He's a judo
Super
champion.
Porky and all those guys.
Yeah.
Super Porky,
I've been told never
lovable fat guy, but hey, he'll kick your ass if you bug him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Red Bastien started this Win promotion in 1989, and an interesting side note is I think he was still a road agent for WWF at the time.
Oh, really? So he was still
the
doing
local Southern California one. I don't know if I'm mixing this up with a show he promoted previously, but he was kind of trying to do it under the radar, not for WWF to know, and he wasn't found out.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Because not that amazing back then. There wasn't a lot of even if you had TV, there really wasn't. You'd have to know more
News
or less.
Didn't travel as fast.
Yeah.
There wasn't internet. There were the newsletters, but even then,
they might skip a few things.
Yeah, they might skip something like that. Yeah. But I remember going to the first Win TV tapings, just kind of saying, "Okay, this will be amusing." What it ended up being was a whole day's worth of TV tapings, lucha matches, using mostly Tijuana guys and some notables like Pirata Morgan, the Guerrero brothers, Ultraman Dos Mil, who before he dumped the gimmick. And, Blue Demon Jr.
Mr. Pepto.
No, Mr.
Pepto was after, wasn't he?
Was he on those?
Mr. Pepto.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I stand corrected.
How can you not know Mr. Pepto?
I know who Mr. Pepto is. I don't remember him being on that.
That should be your new gimmick, Mr. Pepto. Except you should actually be like, you should throw up like in the ring.
That'll be our next incredibly strange gimmick.
Yes, Mr. Pepto.
So,
Son of Pepto.
Son of Pepto.
Son of Pepto would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So, anyway, this was at the old San Bernardino Arena, which was one of the most enjoyable places to see professional wrestling. It was an old building from the 1930s built specifically for wrestling and boxing.
Oh, wow.
I think the arena had been redone by that time, but before that, the ring was actually built into the arena, and the seats were all stadium seats built into the floor. It seated maybe 1,500 people. Very archaic arena. There's a lot of ambience to this place, and I think we went to 2 of the TV tapings, and it was like an all-day party. They started early in the afternoon, and it went into maybe around 7 or 8 in the evening, and oh man, I remember going.
That pretty much filled at least 2 months of.
Oh yeah, easily, and
more than 2 months.
Who else? Young Bobby Bradley when he was
I remember him.
A rookie. Beowa Don.
Tim Talltree.
Tim Talltree, yes. Our friends the Mercenaries, including Ricky Ataki, as one of the Mercenaries.
Oh, really? He was on the Win tapings?
On one of those tapings, he was one of the Mercenaries.
Oh, really?
I think he teamed with Spicoli.
Oh.
I'll never forget, that was when Billy Anderson, I saw him in the stands in his mercenary outfit with his mask, holding his infant son off. I wish I had a picture of that. It was really...
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, it was the cutest thing, seeing this guy in this mercenary mask cuddling a little baby. Chakal Rivera was...
Nobody said, look, the mercenary's kidnapping the baby.
Yeah. That would have been a great gimmick.
Yeah.
But, no, these were all-day parties. I remember... and Red was, Red was hands-on. He was taking, part in the production. He was making sure this thing was moving along. He wasn't just in name only doing this. The funniest moment, I know we talked about this coincidentally on the latest Slam and Stan.
The Superboy one, right? Oh no, this is the old one.
This is, oh god, this was hysterical. There was a match involving the Mercenaries, and the Mercenaries were being managed by a guy named Harry Hell, who was a local boy in the 80s. And it was...
He's on those Long Beach... Isn't he the one that's in...
Yes, he's on one of those Long Beach tapings. Oh, God. I worked with him on one of those. But the finish of the match was supposed to be the baby faces are doing their comeback, and Harry Hell comes up and, grabs their feet as they're coming off the ropes. Well, unfortunately for Harry Hell, 2 people from the audience, a woman with a sports bottle, like a big plastic sports bottle, and a guy dressed up as Freddy Krueger. A guy wearing a Freddy Krueger mask and plastic Freddy Krueger hands. They grabbed Harry and prevented him from grabbing the guy's feet. And Harry the whole time is screaming, "You son of bitches, let me go, let me go!" And the mercenaries just look down and, just ignore him. And the lady is hitting Harry over the head with the sports bottle. Jeez. And I thought, oh boy, they're not going to be in the arena long. So the mercenaries just improvised a finish. I can't remember what it was, but they just went over clean. And afterwards, you see Red Bastien right by the lady and the man who did the interference. They're sitting down, and he's lecturing them on etiquette at the wrestling match.
Oh, really?
And the whole time, you could see he's trying not to laugh. But he's just saying, no, you can cheer, you can boo, but no, you do not touch the wrestlers. And I know there was something very sweet about that moment. There are so many guys from Red Bastien's era where
they would have
kicked them out, and if they'd gotten away, would have had them slap the fan around. That stuff was done a lot. But it was very, very, actually really sweet to see him, you could tell how amused he was about it.
You can't really slap around Freddy Krueger, though.
No, you can't, because if you go to sleep in your nightmare, he will kill you. Yeah. Yes, you don't want to.
I think Red Bastien kind of figured, you know what, I'm going to be nice to this guy.
He saw the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and he knew
he's a big fan, apparently.
But one of the things is that's where I met Red Bastien. He's actually really friendly with us because that's when we were doing the Viva La Lucha newsletter. It was Greg Regalato, Steve Gerber, Pat Hood, Fizzy. We all had a part in it. And I actually remember him actually writing us letters saying, yeah, come on down to the San Bernardino Arena,
wow.
Get you guys in. And
this was back when people had to send you letters to invite you to.
Exactly, no emails back then.
It took like 2 weeks to get there.
But he was always so cordial, always very inviting to us. And on the flip side, there's the famous story of him trying to pay wrestlers with a bounce checks, of course. Well, it was one of the reasons why the Win promotion didn't stay around that long. He was very good at booking the shows, the matches, but as far as running the whole promotion...
Sounds like every other promoter that gets into wrestling.
It's funny because I was still just getting familiar with the workings of the business. And I remember talking to Jeff Walton saying, yeah, it looks like Win's not going to be working out. It looks like... I said, Red Bastien seems to know wrestling. I'm surprised. And Jeff Walton says, well, just because somebody's a really good worker in the ring doesn't mean they understand how to run a business. There's a whole different art to that. Bastien was just really he did a lot of really neat things for a lot of the wrestlers, the older wrestlers. When he was involved in Cauliflower Alley Club, wrestlers who were down and out, he really tried to help out.
Oh wow!
I know when Johnny Valentine was very sick, Bastien really reached out and tried to help him.
Oh, that's cool.
There was that, kind of carny side of him. Like I said, paying the wrestlers with the bounce checks, but to be honest...
That was an accident, though. Come on.
He paid them out to people like Superboy and to Conan.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Conan was
I'm
on
just
the
being
show
honest.
too.
And to be honest, so many wrestlers did stuff like that, and he's it's almost unfair to point that out because there was a lot more really wonderful things he did for people, and that's best pointed out with his involvement in Cauliflower Alley. I remember the last time I had really talked with him was at one of the Cauliflower Alleys where it was shortly after the Crusher's wife had passed away, and I'd never known the Crusher or anything, but he was saying, we're trying to talk to him and, call him on the phone and get him to do stuff, but, all he wants to do is kind of go visit his wife's grave and just stay there, and, you could tell he really cared about the wrestlers and really didn't want to see their life after wrestling to be sad. I actually thought it was very sweet that somebody like the Crusher
I know that's
would want to spend would go to his wife's grave. I mean, I thought that was very moving, but I could understand where
you always expected Crusher to go to the bar and drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Beers.
There's
go to the bar, drink some beers, hang out with the boys.
Exactly. You hear all these stories of wrestlers just kind of like running around with their wives and just kind of
wearing like short, like those white beater shirts, going and beating up guys,
trying to ditch,
getting into fights, barroom fights.
Multiple divorces, and I thought that was really, thought that was really sweet. But Bastien was a guy who really, really had genuine concern for his, compadres, and the last time I actually saw him was at Cauliflower Alley. I think it was 2008, if I remember correctly. And while his Alzheimer's was definitely not advanced, I could tell something was wrong because, when I said hello to him, he's like, "Oh, how you doing?"
Yeah.
He was cordial, but I could tell he couldn't remember who I was. Mm-hmm. And there were times before where he'd forget my name, but he knew I was the lucha guy from California. Mm-hmm. And then Carl Lauer had mentioned, he's in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's.
Oh, jeez.
So it was, sad to see him go, but man, 81 years is a pretty good run.
Yeah, it's a pretty good run
for a wrestler.
For a wrestler, these guys don't last that long.
And one thing he had in wrestling that a lot of wrestlers don't have is that guy had a lot of friends. There's somebody, a lot of people loved him. And Shame to see him go, but man, sounds like he had a pretty full life. And just want to give a salute to Red Bastien and the Win tapings are
the Win promotion.
Yeah, I go back to the Win promotion. You know, that it was just a quick shooting. A shooting star that just kind of went away really quickly.
Did you get Pirata Morgan's autograph at the tapings?
I didn't because he was in no condition to give autographs.
You're like, Pirata autograph, and he went, ah. He shows you his eyes.
But man, he wrestled like you would never guess that he was inebriated because he wrestled just beautifully.
Who told you he was inebriated? Conan?
Somebody did. And there were several witnesses. There was more than one witness, let's just put it that way. But when he's in the ring, you wouldn't have guessed it. You would not have guessed it. One of the other sentimental memories is it was at the first Win taping where I met Dan Farron, Mary Lou Farron, Danny Wolf, Johnny Legend,
the Incredibly Strange Wrestling crew.
The whole Incredibly Strange Wrestling crew, Greg Regalado, the Hanna Brothers, a ton of people that, many of who I'm still dear friends with today, so thank you, Red
Except
Bastien.
for Dan Farron.
That's right, he's my rival.
He's your rival.
Enemy.
Right. He's the man that doesn't let you take over MPW.
That's right, but I will take over MPW because I am
You're Vandal Drummond.
I'm Vandal Drummond. That's what I'm going to say.
Somebody was like, I didn't realize Vandal Drummond and Kurt Brown were the same person. And I responded, well, sometimes we don't know if that's the same person.
I have a lot of different personalities inside my head.
Yes.
I have multiple delusions in my head, and Danny Wolf pointed out to me that delusions is not a noun, it's an adjective, but I've turned it into a noun. I have delusions, and many of them. I am a delusion.
Yes.
Multiple delusions.
Anything else we want to talk about? Wrestling lucha related?
No, any lucha things before we close the show?
Let me check. Nope. Just kidding. Well, they're really... all I'm saying, watch tomorrow's show with Sombra versus Averno, and if you don't want to watch it there, just watch it on YouTube.
We will watch it, and we will discuss that match on the next show.
Actually, we won't be watching it. We're going to skip it.
Okay.
We're purposely going to skip it.
So let's just review all the women's matches over and over again.
Let's just start talking about women's wrestling. You're not going to threaten me with watching Ice Ribbon?
Ice Ribbon. Now, that's something we are going to have to do. We have talked about this.
You've been saying this.
We will review an Ice Ribbon show soon. I know people don't like us to review Ice Ribbon, but we're
It's not that. You've been saying that for the last year, and we haven't done it.
We've been saying it for the last year, yes, and why haven't we reviewed it?
Because I don't really...
because it's been...
Because I only brought it up because of that one match with the mixed tag match with the old guy, the little kid.
Awesome.
And the girl, and it's like, everybody assumes I'm like into Ice Ribbon.
My biggest surprise is everybody thought it was so weird that we found it amusing. They acted like...
I just thought it was weird that the same weekend I brought it up, and like you guys were making fun of it. Like, why am I talking about it? We go to go see Superboy, and they're talking about that.
It's Supernatural.
Yeah, Supernatural.
And it just happened that Supernatural. So, have you seen that Ice Ribbon stuff?
Yeah.
They're violating child labor laws.
Yeah, and it's like
in this country maybe, but not in Japan. They aren't. Probably.
That was the other thing I was going to talk about. Wasn't there like a kid or something that was wrestling recently? It was like a story. Oh, that Ryan Kidd. We didn't talk about that Ryan Kidd.
We did not.
We were going to talk about it in Slam and Stand.
Right before Slam and Stand, we were going to
talk about it. We never did.
Ryan Kidd. So yeah, I guess
you being a wrestler, would you have done that? Would you have beaten him up?
No, I wouldn't have done that. I would not have done that.
What would you have done for respect? Just taken him aside and told him not to do it?
Well, I think the way Adam Pearce addressed it, if you're going to stretch the person, if you're going to smack him around the ring,
let him know.
Tell them why you did it.
Yeah.
Don't just be a dick and walk away. This was the indie show in Iowa.
Yeah.
Where it was Tony Kozina, and who were the other wrestlers?
Davey Richards and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, I guess they had disagreements with the promoter, and they thought the wrestler Ryan Kidd was disrespecting them or something by something he tweeted.
Yeah, like a video and stuff that he was posting.
And So they decided to stretch him in the ring and then just left. I mean...
Yeah, it was two different things, though. It was two different things.
Yeah,
They left. They left the following day. They left without wrestling. But I mean, you see the building was only like 25 people, so it's like...
Yeah, but well, part of the thing is they didn't just leave. They took a payoff and then
they sent it back, though, so...
Which is cool.
Yeah, well...
They probably,
under pressure, probably.
Yeah, they sent it back probably because there was a lot of backlash.
Yeah,
they probably weren't expecting to find a lot of stuff on the internet about the disagreement with...
They probably weren't expecting, like, people, like, they know, thinking they did the wrong thing. Because, I mean, there's so few guys who are willing to pay guys nowadays. It's like, you can't really, like, treat somebody like that.
I know, if you're going to promote a show, one, pay them what you're promised.
Yeah.
And,
It works both ways. I mean,
does.
Promoters, I know there's a lot of people who, like, hate on promoters, but there's also a lot of wrestlers who do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand there are some shifty and cheesy promoters. It's part of the business, but I also have a lot of sympathy for promoters because you put up with a lot of ego bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean... and
then the money you're losing just running a show. It's
exactly. And, I mean, I've seen promoters who... And on indie shows, when you have indie wrestlers bitching and moaning about how they're being pushed, you're an indie wrestler. You're not in WWE. I mean, one, you're wrestling for this promoter. It's his show. He's putting the money for it.
Yeah.
You know...
If he wants you to win or lose.
You lose.
If he wants you to bark...
Well,
there's certain things... There's limitations of stuff you... You know, there's certain things you don't have to do, but I mean...
Exactly. No, I could see to some extent say, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not... But when you're being a prima donna, when you're an indie wrestler, I mean, I remember about 5 years ago, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was a guy who'd been wrestling for a year and was complaining about none of the indies push him. And I think about... I remember all the... I mean, I know it's a whole different world, but you're an indie guy, you've been wrestling for a year, and you're complaining because you don't get pushed... I mean, wrestlers years ago would be jobbers for 4 or 5 years before they got their first push, and it just...
And there's some guys that just do that.
Yeah,
they just do it like job the whole time. So.
But the reason we got up in arms about Ryan Kidd is because we didn't realize this, but we had seen Ryan Kidd on a show in Newhall against our own Ray Tanaka.
Oh, he wrestled Ray Tanaka?
It was Ray
Did
Tanaka.
you figure that out, or did you guys talk about it at the show?
Because I remember I saw Ray Tanaka at the next NPW show, and I said, yeah, you wrestled that little dude. We're talking about the Newhall match, right?
Yeah.
We didn't hear what the kid's name was. We didn't hear the name.
We heard Kid. We heard Kid, but we thought, okay, it's not Kid.
So he's a little dude, he's skinny, he's fast as hell, so we named him Skinny Kid Jones.
Yeah.
He is Skinny Kid Jones, and when we heard that, Tony...
We were very offended.
Yeah, you do not disrespect Skinny Kid Jones. You do not stretch him. So we were pissed, so...
I didn't even remember he wrestled Ray Tanaka.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah.
So, well, if I'm ever the dirtbag promoter... He's going to have to understand that while I respect him, he will have to be Skinny Kid Jones.
That's what, remember when I was thinking about promoting, I was one of my concerns about promoting how wrestlers would react to me telling them what to do. And apparently some guys aren't going to react.
Yeah.
When you're not a wrestler, it's not the same thing when you're a wrestler. Because, I mean, you're not going to be carrying a gun and shit like that. Not that I wouldn't, but I'm not going to be doing that.
Well, one thing...
You know what? Like the old school way of carrying a gun, like in a holster. Like,
yes.
What's your problem, Richards? Like, you got a problem, Richards? You're gonna wrestle now. And just show, like, wear a coat, like, just, like, move the coat and, like, show your gun.
I remember, in fact, Ed Moretti telling me, there's a wrestler, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember his name, but he was one of the 70s WWF jobbers, and he wrestled for Tomko in Vancouver, Al Tomko.
You said Tomko.
Oh, God, I was wrong. Timko. I'm sorry. Let me stand corrected. Al Timko. Yeah, he wrestled for Timko for about 2 weeks, and Timko fired him, but he didn't go home right away. He'd show up at the arenas with his hand in his jacket as if he was holding a gun.
Oh, jeez.
And apparently Timko was scared to death and was running in and out of the arenas.
Oh, jeez.
And the line I'll never forget was he saying, "Why would he want to shoot me? I'm a family man."
That doesn't stop you from getting
Exactly.
shot. Oh, God.
Yeah, got to share an Al Timko memory every now and then. And besides that, I mean, when you're promoting a show like that, I don't see the benefit of bringing in a Davey Richards or Tony Casino when you're...
Apparently, he told them that's what offended them.
Yeah. When they have to show you what is that promoter's intelligence.
Yeah, see, that's where a lot of people were like, well, this guy's also not that smart. I mean, you could tell, like, certain promoters, once they figure out, they'll give it a shot, bring in a guy, but when they notice that it's really not drawing anything different from another show...
You and I have been in buildings where the place only holds, like, 100 people, but they're flying in people that even if they sold out the show...
It's still not going to make.
It's still not going to pay for that guy's travel, even.
Yeah.
And you know, they're not guys with a bunch of sponsors, so there's no sponsors fit in the bill either. So, but that's our rant on indie wrestling.
Yes.
So
we should do an indie rant every once in a while.
We'll have to do that.
Well, we'll do it when we go to Lucha shows.
Exactly.
We'll be going to that get together. So
that will be covering that.
Well, maybe we'll get interviews for that.
That'd be great, actually.
Get some sound bites.
Well, in fact, we're going to get interviews for that.
Some sound bites. We'll have to talk to Superboy again also.
Totally. And if Al Murrieta is there like they say he's going to be, we've got to get him to do some cussing into this microphone.
That's going to be the intro.
Yep. He's the one guy I never wanted to piss off. I'm glad I was his friend.
I was watching those videos because I wanted to see what he looked like, and I'm like, holy shit, he's like... old, because you told me he was old.
Did he look like one of the pistoleros in an old spaghetti western?
Yeah, he did. He kind of looked like just one of those old guys.
The only difference, instead of Clint Eastwood shooting him down, I picture him taking away Clint Eastwood's gun and beating him to death.
I was watching a match. Mm-hmm. It's this black guy versus a Mexican. It's like, I think, in the third show of that. I can't remember. I couldn't figure out the guy's name. I think I wrote it down, but I can't remember. I think you saw it turned into like a shoot. Was it? Did it turn into a shoot?
I remember that clearly.
Let me see if I have it on.
I know what it's BJ Speed versus Piranha.
Yes, Piranha. I remember Piranha.
Actually,
it's BJ Speed. I think he used different.
I can tell you that's. I
what
remember
happened
this
in that?
Very clearly.
Because I wrote as the description. I wrote these guys start the match and it looks like they turn into a shoot because the guy just like starts. He starts like kicking him like in a weird way. He
starts trying to shoot on the guy, and Piranha just walked out of the ring because
the black guy started shooting on him.
Oh, right? It was this guy was he was an idiot. He should it was stupid for the promoter to book him.
Where did he get him from? Where did
he showed up? He showed up the week before. Just some kid claimed he was trained by Mondo Guerrero.
Uh-huh.
So I show up that day, and originally I was supposed to wrestle him. And the dude who ran these shows was a guy who didn't know wrestling very well. So this kid comes up and says, "I'm a wrestler." He says, "Oh, okay." So he comes up to me and says, "I'm working with you." And I'm saying, "Oh, okay. Oh, well, what do you want to do?" And he starts calling the match from the opening move by move by move by move.
So he's ahead of his time.
He's ahead of his time, exactly.
Because it was 1991, so...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, like, he was 5 sentences into it, and I said, okay, wait a minute. For one thing, I'm not going to work a match like that.
Yeah.
I said, I don't work like that. I'm not going to just script everything. And he says, okay, well, when I go over... And I'm saying, wait a minute. Did they say you're supposed to go over? Oh, yeah, they want me to go over. And I'm just... Something ain't ringing right here. I mean...
You're Vandal Drummond.
I'm Vandal Drummond, damn it. Yeah, this was only maybe my fourth Lucha match. But I'm saying... I mean, it wasn't even vague. I knew there was something wrong with this kid. And so I said, look, we're just going to improvise it in the ring, okay?
Yeah.
And I wasn't even going to talk any high spots with him. So I go in the dressing room thinking, oh, what am I getting myself into? And a local boy, a veteran local boy, Cosmos, about 10 minutes later, walks into my dressing room. You know, we had separate dressing room, heel and face dressing room.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really converse with each other. Cosmos walks up to me and looks really pissed off and says, when you get in the ring with that kid... Don't give him anything. Just don't give him any moves. Just take him down and beat him. I'm going, okay, and I'm like, oh great, this is a fun position to be in. And for some reason they changed it up,
Yeah, because they probably wanted somebody to do what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, well, they put him in with Piranha, and they turned me heel that day. That day only. I don't know why they did that even. So I ended up being in BJ's dressing room, and yeah, the kid went in and did what he did, just trying to
do kicks and stuff.
Yeah, do kicks and a shoot, and Piranha said, "This is bullshit." Piranha was a really good worker.
Yeah.
Piranha walks back to the dressing room, and then he says, "This is a bunch of crap." And then BJ comes back in. Everybody just laid into him and says, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" And he tried to say, "Well, that guy doesn't know how to work." And just everybody laid into him, and he looked scared to death. Like,
wow.
He looked like he was scared he's going to get killed. And Budokan was one of the ones who just came up and says, "You think you're trying to be smart and just hurt somebody? You don't know what you're doing. You could really hurt that guy."
Yeah.
And
yeah, because he took him down. I mean, Piranha started like trying to get him to stay down and stuff.
And if Piranha wanted, Piranha could have taken him.
Yeah, and then like he threw a high kick at him, and he was like, "What?"
And that's when he walked.
Yeah,
out,
and he's
right?
like, "What?" Yeah, he looks at the ref like, "What the fuck's going on?" And he just walks out. He's like, "I'm out of here."
And then I remember about 2 weeks later,
that's a shoot. See, that's what
that is a shoot.
That's what a.
About 2 weeks later, Alex Knight calls me and says, "You want to work one of my shows?" And I'm going, "Oh yeah, I'll be up for that. What do you need?" "Oh, I got this kid BJ Speed. I want you to put him over." And I said, "I'll work with him, but I won't put him over." And he says, "Why?" And I told him the story, and he didn't use him on.
Oh wow! So he got a bad reputation from that.
If you talk to Frankie D, there's a whole bunch of funny BJ Speed stories where he used to bring a championship belt. To every show he went to, and would try to tell people, "I'm a champion."
Oh, jeez.
They say, "You're not wearing the belt to the ring. You're not a champion." So they'd book him on one of in like an opening match, and then he'd have somebody give him the belt on the way to the ring.
There was a match before that was like a little kid.
That was two of his friends he brought along. In fact, if you'll notice,
they were like little kids, right? Like
they were like teenagers.
Yeah.
And they were two of BJ's friends.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is you'll notice that the veteran Cosmos is at ringside. And Cosmos was there just in case it got too out of hand. He was just going to
go in there and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, or tell them to take it home and get them out of there.
Yeah.
And I could tell, Cosmos is one of the old Hadco Plaza guys, and you could tell he is frustrated that the promoter was stupid enough to use guys who just showed up and said, It's like the whole Mass Transit thing where Mass Transit shows up to ECW.
Yeah.
"I'm a wrestler." "Oh, okay, we'll book you." And, a lot of people should know better. So.
Yeah, you got to know a little bit more background behind the guy.
Yeah. Those were fun shows, though. I mean...
I wanted to ask you about that just because it seems so weird, and I thought...
That was bizarre.
Maybe Kurt knows who this guy is.
Next time you see Frankie, bring up the name BJ Speed.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him.
He'll start laughing, and he'll have 100 stories to tell you.
I'll record it.
Oh man! Well, this is
been a very.
I think this is the longest LuchaWorld we've done, don't you think?
How long has it gone? Probably like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
easily, probably is
easily. So, we hope you folks enjoyed it. Even all the non-Lucha stuff, we had a really good time doing it, and we will be back. What do you say? 2 weeks?
2 weeks works.
2 weeks it is. We'll see you folks then. Keep it rocking, keep it real, and away we go, folks.